head because you're not going to get a video on audio. There you go. Good night. Alright, honey, what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about when you think you're in a relationship, but you're really not. And you've been in a long-term relationship, and you're wondering, when is this guy ever going to marry me? And nothing's really moving forward. Or, he's being unfaithful or this and that, and he doesn't really seem to be committed. And yet you're in a relationship. And then when I was talking to Paul about it, he explained that just because you're with someone doesn't necessarily mean that that man thinks you guys are in a relationship.
Yes,
and there's
correct.
a difference. So tell me more about that.
So let me just break it down for y'all so that way you guys understand. So usually when a guy starts seeing you, right, we're spending time together, we're getting to know one another, and that's what it is. We haven't established or made an agreement about anything else in terms of what a relationship means, what the standards of that means, what the commitment level of that or not means. And if we haven't had that discussion and that talk about it, seeing you and spending time with you does not mean that we are in a relationship with you, which means that those expectations, well, he should this or he should call you, they just don't come along. We don't even think about that as men. We're thinking that, okay, we're spending time, and we may be spending time with other people until we make a decision on whether or not we are going to actually, like you more, or say, I think this is going to be my boo. But if we haven't done any of that, then we're just spending time with you. We're seeing you, not a relationship.
Okay, so then what happens if you're doing all the relationship stuff? Like you're spending every free moment together, and you're going out together, and people see you as a couple, but then there's certain things that he just won't commit to. So you're saying that if he doesn't explicitly say that you're in a relationship, then you're not, even if you're doing all the relationship stuff?
Well, relationship stuff is a standard that maybe the woman has set, but the man hasn't agreed to. And so unless the man has agreed to that, then again, we're seeing each other. We're spending time together, which is nothing wrong with that. Even if we spend time with you exclusively, it doesn't mean that we've committed to you unless we've said that we are now going to start committing to you. And so I tell all my female friends, the women friends, that make sure you guys had that discussion and you guys are both in agreement. If you haven't had that discussion, even with someone that you're dating long term, if you haven't had a discussion and an agreement about this is what our plan is together, then you may have in your mind that, oh yeah, we're committed, we're doing this, we're heading towards marriage. And he may be thinking, you know what, I'm just spending time here, someone that I really like, but I'm not ready for marriage yet. And I've seen this happen so many times with men as well as women, that in their mind they're like, well, we're committed, we're going to get married soon, and the other person's not even thinking like that because they have a different goal in mind in terms of their relationship.
Okay, so then what happens because a lot of the times you're in that relationship and you assume that you're in a committed relationship, but the person doesn't necessarily say that you're not. Are they supposed to say that you are, or like how do you know? Or is it something that you have to ask that person, are we in a committed relationship or not? Because all the times the person you're in the relationship with and thinking that you're in a committed relationship, they're not necessarily telling you, you're just someone I'm dating or just someone I'm hanging around with. They're not necessarily telling you that. And I think it's because they still want the benefits of being in a relationship without having to commit. So they won't say anything just in case, you go away kind of thing, right? So they'll continue that on as long as they can, and then when commitment comes up, that's when they'll start kind of being wishy-washy about it without kind of being honest about the fact that they didn't see the relationship in that way in the first place.
Well, I kind of agree with you on that, but on the same aspect, what ends up happening most of the time is that we haven't made an agreement from the beginning. So we start spending time together and we enjoy each other's company and we're doing stuff like boyfriend and girlfriend, but because we haven't established what that means together, then the woman makes an assumption and the guy's like, well shoot, we were fine. We were just fine hanging out. And now all of a sudden you're putting this pressure on me to be something that we never discussed from the beginning.
Okay, so then you hear all these, or you read all these relationship books or get all this relationship advice that says you shouldn't say that up front.
So I'm going to say that right now.
You'll scare him off, right?
No, women, find out what the man's goals for a relationship is. Even if he wants to be in a committed relationship, if you don't find that out from the beginning, then you're starting to get whatever, because we make these assumptions about how men and women should be in a relationship without having an agreement. So I say this all the time. At the beginning, if you don't know where your man or where this guy is coming from in terms of his relationship goals and what he wants in a woman. If you haven't found that out and established that from the beginning, then you're going to get whatever you get. You can't make an assumption about how a man thinks a relationship should be without asking him what he wants. Does he want to be in a committed relationship? Does he want a long term? Is he even ready for that? Is he just, maybe just wants to spend time with someone? Whatever that is, find that out from the beginning, and then you'll know.
Right. So then, and also that whole thing about if you say that too quickly to a guy, then he's going to be scared off. My opinion on that is, if he's going to be scared off by that question, then he's probably not the guy for you. He's probably not committed to begin with. Right? Because if he's afraid of talking about something like that, if a simple question like that is going to scare him off, then good luck. 2 years from now, you would have wasted 2 years on someone who really wasn't ready to talk about that, and still won't be ready to talk about that in 2 years. So I personally think don't be afraid to ask that question. And even when we met, I think we were really direct at the beginning about, this is our expectation and this is what we're both looking for. Not in the sense that, oh, you've got to marry me right away and I want to be married within the next 2 weeks or whatever. It's not like that, but just in the sense that, hey, you know what, my goal, generally in relationship, is to end up getting married, and where do you stand with that? What are your goals? And it doesn't have to be a sense of like you're pressuring him to do anything, especially when you first meet him. Obviously, you don't even know if he's the one. But I think if you kind of establish that perimeter from the beginning, if you have the same kind of goals as far as where you want to go in the relationship, I think that's a different conversation, right? Because I think a lot of women are afraid to talk about that at the beginning because they think then it's going to scare the guy.
Exactly.
The guy off, right? But you're saying as a guy that you should make that clear from the beginning, right?
Right from the beginning. I used to have a rule that right now we're in the interview process, we're in the dating process, because you may be nice, you may be cute, you may be fine, you may have all that kapow and all that, but if we don't have a common interest, a common goal in our relationship, then it doesn't matter anyway. And what can happen is that you can spend time with this person, and then you can start getting feelings and emotions because you've connected either physically or emotionally, and that person may not be right for you. Then you have to spend all this time getting emotionally out of that relationship when you've invested that time that you probably could have saved yourself if you had asked the right questions from the beginning.
Right. And I think what ends up happening a lot of the times, you end up putting, because you didn't ask the right questions in the beginning, you end up putting, so like you said, so much time and so much energy and so much effort into making things work with someone who wasn't even invested as you were. And just because they kind of seem like they're going through the motions, like going on dates with you, holding your hand, even telling you that they love you, that doesn't necessarily equate to I'm committed and you're the one.
No.
Those are two different things, right?
Yeah.
Because you can still love someone, but not be committed, right? And if you don't want to be committed, I mean, then you establish that, and that's okay. But if that's what you're looking for, and you're with someone who isn't looking for that, and then now you're shocked because now you want to have the commitment conversation, and he or she is like, well, I never told you I wanted to get married, or starts making excuses and whatnot. I always think that those signs are always there at the beginning.
They're always there at the beginning. I mean, a lot of times women don't understand that, for a man to want to be committed, a lot of times he wants to have everything in order. He wants to have his finances in order. He wants to have his goals and dreams in order, or at least on the way. So that way, that makes a difference. Or he just could be in a place where he just wants to have fun. Right. And you didn't ask that question, and so you just don't know until after the fact, and you've already emotionally been involved because you think this guy is really cute, or he's got a good head on his shoulder, or whatever the reason that is, that you get committed without finding out for sure what's going on.
Do you think that even if you ask the guy at the very beginning, do you think that or the woman, do you think that person will always be honest, even especially if they want to get with you anyways? Yes. You think they'll be honest? If you ask them straight up, you think even if they want to get with you because they want something from you, whatever that may be?
Well, the thing about it is, if you ask a person, are you interested in having a committed relationship, or are you just trying to still, be out in the streets, or you still just want to date right now? And they say they just want to date. There's your answer.
Okay. So, and you think for the most part, people will be honest when they're asked that question?
Well, usually people know what they want based on where they're at. Now, it's another thing that if you're talking to someone and you find out based on character that their character doesn't have, and it doesn't align with yours, and that's one of the things that you should actually look for in the first place is someone's character. If you're only looking at looks, or you're looking at money, and you haven't looked at their character, then you're already not winning.
Another thing is if you're looking at it from your own lens because that's what you want to see, and that person may not necessarily have those qualities, but because you're so eager, to be committed, you start projecting those qualities on him, even if he doesn't have them, or for instance, if he says, "Well, I'm not committed, I'm not ready for that right now, but in the future, that's what I want." So then you'll only hear the part when he says, "In the future, that's what I want," but who knows when the future is?
Yeah. Again, you just need to establish what you're looking for and tell the person up front, this is where you're at and this is what you want. And if they're not in alignment with that, then it's probably not the relationship that you want to be in.
Then it was interesting for me to hear from a guy's perspective that, you guys pretty much make it pretty specific at the beginning. If you ask the right questions.
We're not that complicated.
They're not that complicated.
Most times women have put this space or this thing out in the air that this guy has to supposedly fit into this box.
Right.
When realistically, he's a square peg in a round hole. I mean, most times that's what it is. I hear it all the time from guys. And then when I ask the questions from women, they tell me they didn't ask the questions, or they tell me that they just made an assumption about how a relationship should be because they spent time together. And that does not equal a relationship.
Yeah, and that's why I thought about the question, is because I see a lot of women being in long-term relationships still waiting for the guy to be committed when the guy was never committed to begin with. He was never in that space. You were, and you went along with it, and he may have done, like I said, went through the motions, but he was never committed in the first place. And then you end up suffering and spending a lot of time, on this person. And now you're emotionally invested. Yep. And it's harder to get out, because, and you still keep waiting for the day that something miraculous happens. And, in some cases it does. Some people do end up changing their minds and whatnot. But for the most part, what I've noticed is that if that wasn't established to begin with, trying to convince someone that you're meant to be together, you'll never do enough to get someone to marry you who's not ready to marry you.
Exactly. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. To wrap this up, ask the questions from the beginning, whether or not the guy wants to be in a relationship, whether or not he's committed, what is his goals for a relationship with you. If you can't get the answers out of it, then it's probably best that you're only going to be dating.
Yes, guys, we just wanted to do a quick video. We're out and about downtown today, just enjoying our Sunday. And
sorry it's a little dark, you guys. The sun's going in and out.
So we'll see you in the next video. Please hit subscribe, and we will see you. That's Paul. We'll see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.